When your body's stress response to frustration is sometimes crying, but you have to present in a few minutes. You better work, bitch.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see how a woman says she feels behind in life in her 30s. We'll also watch another video where she asks men to share where they go, and we'll look at others struggling with dating because their standards aren't being met. Your support is super important to us. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 150,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Share your experiences and advice in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Now, let's get started.
Why did this comment literally make me cry? Because I'm having a quarter-life crisis, so let's talk about it. I feel like being a woman in your late 20s and realising that your life isn't going the way that you thought it would go is like a really soul-crushing feeling. I just think your 20s are a real time of growth, and I feel like whenever there's growing, there's going to be growing pains. I thought I would probably own a house, be married, probably earning like at least 100k a year. I was a bit unrealistic, but the reality is I'm living in my mum's flat away from all of my friends and family. I'm trying to save to buy a house. Also trying to buy somewhere by yourself, especially when you're self-employed, is really fucking hard. I'm single, I have no kids, and I literally have like 3 friends. I just feel like people are always like, oh, like appreciate what you have, like your life is good, da 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 da. But being told that repeatedly is actually just irritating because your feelings are valid and like it's okay to feel like lonely, like you don't know where you're going and feeling lost. And all of those things are coming to me, and I do really trust and believe in God's timing. But I'm not gonna lie and say that I haven't been struggling, because I feel like I always show up being like my best self on social media. And recently I've been struggling to post because I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. Like I'm not feeling my life, I'm not feeling myself. I know things will get better. It's just your sign that if you're feeling like shit and you're feeling like your life is not where you want to be, you're not the only one. And even though I come on social media and portray like all happy, good vibes, that is definitely not the way I feel like 90% of the time. So yeah, I'm sending you love, and if you feel like shit too, you're not the only one.
This feeling is called fear of the wall, because once you hit your 30s, let me put it this way, welcome to the wall. Many women have this fear because they see that their time is slipping away. And it's worse when you're still living in the same house you've been in your whole life, in the same bedroom, approaching 30, and nothing has changed. Here's where it gets sharper. While men, as they age, become more valuable for what they bring to the table, status, experience, success, the currency for many women, youth and beauty, starts to depreciate with each passing year. It's simple biology and social realism. When you reach the point where your standards remain the same as they were in your prime years, but you no longer have the same level of demand, you find yourself at a crossroads. Either lower your expectations or accept solitude, because once you've hit the wall, as we all know, the wall is unforgiving.
We are drawn to people who can wound us in a very familiar way to how we were wounded as children. And our psyche, on a very subconscious level, tries to recreate the scenario of the crime, essentially, in an attempt to change its ending. And it drives who we feel chemistry with.
Oh, please speak on that.
So our chemistry compass is what points us into the direction of who we're drawn to and who we're repulsed by. And human beings are drawn to what's familiar. Say you had a caregiver who was very absent and you were trying to prove that you were enough. In your relationships, you might continuously choose and be drawn to partners who like you just a little but never enough. You will feel like, oh my gosh, so much chemistry with this person.
Wow.
Because it feels like home. And then that other person who's kind, who shows up, who sees you for who you are.
Yeah.
You're like, you're boring, or like, oh, I got the ick.
Yeah, or I'm just not attracted.
Yeah.
Absolutely, brothers. Many of these women are missing a father figure. The first male figure in a woman's life is her father, and as we all know, with an 80% divorce rate initiated by women, you can imagine that over the past 20 years, many women have grown up without a present father. This leads them into the arms of the well-known Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table, who takes them on an emotional roller coaster, a fleeting and elusive man who doesn't invest time, but whom they love because just like their father, they see him only briefly and want to make those moments memorable. For reasons like this, we say that single mothers produce single women, because when a father is removed from the equation of a daughter's life, the girl grows up with a need for a male figure, a man to guide her. This void is then filled by men who give bursts of affection, only to
This is a question to single 30-year-old men, okay? Asking for a friend, not me. Where do you frequent? Because I'm a single girl, my friend is a single girl, and she's not on dating apps, and she's trying to find a husband at some point, but there doesn't seem to be any single, straight, 30-year-old men that are attractive. Anywhere. London, Weymouth, Southampton, any of the south of England. Doesn't seem to exist. Like, has there been some kind of apocalypse that I didn't realise? Is everyone married? Like, what's the situation? Where are you? Because, you know, my friend wants to meet a husband in the next, 5 years. There doesn't seem to be any straight men anywhere, okay? Maybe, late 20s, early 30s. If you know, just let me know, because my friend might want to go there to potentially meet a husband. Thank you so much.
One thing that is certain when women hit the wall is that their pool of potential candidates begins to dry up, which means they need to start making moves because, as I said, they are at the wall, and every minute counts. I can assure you that there are men almost everywhere, but as we all know, there is a portion of men who are essentially invisible to women. Even if they're right in front of them, they don't notice them, because these are average men they aren't attracted to. As we all know, when something doesn't appeal to you or attract you, it holds no value in your eyes. When a woman turns 30, the best advice is for her to take the initiative with men, because the clock has started ticking. It's better for her to make an effort to find a partner. I can guarantee that 3 out of 5 men she approaches could lead to finding a partner, but there's a fear of rejection, brothers.
I've been on 5 dates in the past 3 months. And let me tell you that all 5 of those dates did not make it to the second date. Put this out there before men come after me. I went in with the intention of hopefully liking this person and eventually talking to them. But every time I went on these dates, I kid you not, I would go in my car and feel nothing. I don't even know. I just was like, oh my God, am I broken? Why do I not feel nothing? It takes a long time to actually get on that date. And I just recently was like, okay, this week I'm going on a freaking date. I also said to myself this weekend that I am probably ready to actually settle down with someone. And I went on a date on Tuesday. It's so funny. You can literally just go on Hinge and then, oh, you got a date. It's so easy, but whatever. I think it's so important that we as women, we just know exactly what we want. And I feel like putting yourself out there and going on these dates, you kind of pick up little bits and pieces of these men that you're like, okay, I like that trait. I like that trait. I like that trait. And you kind of just look for that certain person. Making this is because I want you to really just stay in faith of hoping that you will find
A woman without a man, who has dated 5 different guys, telling another not to settle for less. How ironic is that? Notice how easy it is for her to open an app and get a date. These apps are full of men, but only 20% of them get all the results. Women like this want a perfect man, going into each date expecting the magical spark, and then leaving saying, I don't feel anything, is a recipe for disappointment. The real problem lies in the consumer mindset, the idea of collecting pieces of men as if they were parts of an endless puzzle. Not settling has become an excuse to maintain unrealistic standards that only serve to prolong loneliness. Here's the thing. These dates turn into a sort of trial where you have to do your best just to secure a second meeting. If you're going out with a woman who wasn't interested in the first place, how do you think the date will go? For reasons like this, brothers, always invite her for coffee so you're not wasting money on a woman who has no genuine interest in getting to know you.
I fear maybe throwing this fish back out into the sea. He had a very light surface level first date. Did ask a couple questions that helped me better understand their emotional intelligence. And there was one question about oh, how are you as a boyfriend? How do you show someone that you care? He tensed up a little bit, couldn't really answer it and was like, oh, I guess you'll need to find out. Well, I mean, I'm dating with attention. I don't really have time to waste time to find out. I want to know that you've done the self-reflection and introspection to understand how you move about this world in intimate relationships. And if you are either uncomfortable with communicating that or you don't even know that about yourself, I'm not going to waste my time. But also, he found out about my TikTok. I don't know if he just Googled me. If you Google my name, if you Google my first name, yoga teacher, my TikTok's going to show up. He did say that we had a mutual friend of a friend who sent him my vlogs. He seemed more concerned with the fact that he was going viral than with how the date went and whether he wants to see me again. Next day, also just wanted to say, I think the reason why I don't want to go on a second date with that guy is really how all of that transpired. Him finding my TikTok, but also above and beyond all of that, how nonchalant he was with me after, like, not texting to make sure I got home, not texting to say that he had a great date, just being really nonchalant. Like, we both go to this run club, and I haven't been going because I'm actually dealing with something with my low back. He's like, well, are you going to go to run club? I'm like, no, I have plans. And he's like, well, then when you don't have plans. And it's just like, too nonchalant for me. Sorry, too nonchalant for me. I want you to really want to see me. I want you to see me. I want you to text me next day. I want you to do all those things. Because guess what? Guess what? That's happened before. It'll happen again. It just happened with this last first date that I had. We're having a second date on Saturday.
Oh, hell no!
You need therapy. That man's doubt is valid, and it will probably be the next topic on your TikTok. Nowadays, men see this as a red flag because you go out with an otherwise normal girl, only to find out later that everything you discussed on the date ends up in her next video. With titles like Worst Date Ever or any of her trivial complaints. That's why the guy did his research and why his friend warned him about her. And he was right, because look, she already made a video about it. Dates now feel more like job interviews with endless questions. So how are you supposed to connect with someone when they come with a checklist from the start, expecting you to meet all their criteria? That's why men avoid these types of women, because when they're at the wall, they're not looking for a date to get to know someone. They're looking for a husband. This puts pressure on the man, making him reluctant to call back. That's why he didn't message her, not out of indifference, but simply to distance himself. Remember, a man of value quietly moves on. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What would you say to these women who have hit the wall? Why do you think women in their 30s feel like they're falling behind in life? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.